In India, we have several acts and laws which deal with the welfare, safety, and work environment of employees at different types of workplaces. For instance, we have the Factories Act, which take care of the employees' well-being at manufacturing facilities. And similarly, we have the Shops and Establishment Act, doing so for employees working in various shops and commercial establishments in India. Hi, I am Sugandh Anand, a startup advisor at Set India Biz, where we provide tax, compliance and IPR services to startups across India. And in this video, I will try to explain you everything about shops and establishment registration, a mandatory compliance to be met by every commercial establishment in India. The topic I will cover in this video will include meaning of shops and establishment registration, need for shops and establishment registration, eligibility for shops and establishment registration, process and documents needed for shops and establishment registration, and due date for obtaining shops and establishment registration in India. We have a lot to discuss, so let us begin without any delay. What is the Shops and Establishment Act? Well, for starters, we know that it is the basic law under which shops and establishment registration is taken. But let us dig a little deeper. So you can say that Shops and Establishment Act is a state-specific legislation which regulates the working conditions of shops and commercial establishments operating in a particular state. Under the Act, shops can be defined as any premises where goods are sold either by retail or wholesale, or where services are rendered to customers. This includes stores, outlets, warehouses, stalls, depots, or any other place where such business is carried out. On the other hand, the Act defines commercial establishment as premises where any business, trade, or profession is carried out, like establishments which provide services to customers, or workshops, godowns and warehouses where goods are processed or stored for commercial purposes. So, the working conditions of all these places are regulated by the Shops and Establishment Act. But why do we need such regulation? The ultimate aim of regulating working conditions under the Shop Act is to provide a better standard of working conditions to workers employed in such shops and establishments and prevent their exploitation at the workplace. Among the various aspects it regulates, a few include the working hours and days of the employees, their rest intervals, daily wages, holidays, leaves, health and sanitation at the workplace, and so on. What is the purpose of shops and establishment registration? Now that you know what the Shops and Establishment Act is, let us discuss why a registration is required under this Act. Registration under the Shops Act ensures that the registered establishment is in full compliance with the rules and regulations prescribed under the Act. Such compliance not only helps in avoiding adverse legal consequences of non-compliance, but also helps businesses gain legitimacy in the eyes of the law and goodwill in the eyes of the general public. Moreover, shops and establishment registration also serves as a necessity when businesses apply for various benefits such as easy and fast track loans, low interest loans, subsidies and grant under different government schemes and initiatives. Also, many state governments seek shops and establishment registration from businesses before providing them mandatory industry-specific licenses and permits. So, the need to obtain shops and establishment registration for businesses are manifold, and we can discuss it in detail in a separate video. For now, we will move ahead with understanding the eligibility criteria to be met before an application is filed for shops and establishment registration. Which entities must register under the Shops and Establishment Act? The Shops and Establishment Act of a particular state applies to all shops and commercial establishment operating within the jurisdiction of the state. We have already discussed what shops and establishment actually mean under the Act earlier in this video. But let me repeat it one more time so that you clearly understand the eligibility of businesses for shops and establishment registration. So, Shops are entities which sell goods on retail or wholesale and render services directly to their customers. On the other hand, commercial establishments are entities which carry out any kind of businesses, trade of profession, including storage of goods for commercial purposes. All organizations which qualify as any of these will have to get the shops and establishment registration within a prescribed time limit after their establishment in the state. You must remember that the requirement of registration is specific to business activities and not to physical presence. So, even organizations which qualify as shops and commercial establishment but do not operate from a physical premises will also have to register under the respective Shops and Establishment Act of the state. Besides, the other general criteria for Shops Act registration include the establishment should be operational and actively engaged in commercial activities, and the establishment should have at least one employee. Other than this, there are certain eligibility criteria which vary from state to state, as each state has their own Shops and Establishment Act. Hopefully, now you have enough information to decide whether shops and establishment registration is applicable to your business or not. But if it is, you must be wondering, what is the process of taking such registration? So, let me explain. What is the process of shop and establishment registration? Before starting the process, you should know which authority grants you registration under the Shops Act. Well, Shops Act regulates the working conditions of employees, whether permanent or contractual, employed in shops and commercial establishments operating in a particular state. So, it is obvious that the execution of the Act will be administered by the Labor Department of the concerned state, municipality, and it is the authority which will be responsible for granting the shops and establishment registration. Coming to the process, the registration can be obtained through an application-based process, which can be carried out both online and offline. Although the exact steps to be followed may vary from state to state, the general idea is that you will first have to access the prescribed application for such registration. If the mode of registration is online, you can do so by visiting the official website of the state's labor ministry, and if the mode is offline, you will have to visit the Chief Labor Commissioner's office in the state to get the application. Accordingly, you can fill the application with the details of the concerned employer, the concerned employees, and the concerned establishment. Once you are done with the filling all the details, you will have to attach certain supporting documents with the form. If the form is online, the documents will be uploaded in their digital formats, and if it is offline, the documents will have to be submitted in their self-attested physical formats. We will discuss the list of all the documents required in a few minutes. For now, let us proceed with the process further. By now, your application is complete and ready with its documents and details. You can go ahead with its submission after paying the prescribed application fees, which differs for different states in India and depends on the number of employees in the organization. If the mode of application is online, you can pay the fees through internet banking, credit card or debit card, and upload the final form on the Labor Ministry's website. However, if the mode of application is offline, the required fees can be paid in cash, bank, check or demand draft. Your application process will be complete after you have paid the government fees and submitted the form to the concerned authority. Now, all you have to do is wait for the registration certificate to be issued as a documentary proof that your organization has been successfully registered under the Shops and Establishment Act. The certificate, once issued, will be valid for a period prescribed under the Shops Act, which may vary from state to state. Usually, the validity extends for a period of 5 years to lifetime from the date of issue and can be renewed before its expiry if required. Now, let me list the documents you would require to attach with the application. What are the documents required for shops and establishment registration? You can see a table on the screen where all the documents you would need for shops and establishment registration are mentioned. Let me explain these to you one by one. Address proof of the establishment, identity proof of the owner, proof of incorporation of the establishment, list of employees and their details, a copy of the payment challan and any other documents as required by the state government. Address proof of the establishment. You can provide a rent or lease agreement if the organization is rented, property tax receipt if the organization is owned, or utility bills in either case. Remember that the address proof should contain the name and address of the establishment distinctly. Identity proof of the owner. The owner of the establishment can provide a self-attested copy of his PAN card, Aadhaar card, or passport for this purpose. Proof of incorporation of the establishment. If the organization is an incorporated entity like a registered partnership firm, an LLP, or a private limited company, you can provide their certificates of incorporation. List of employees and their details. This would include the names, addresses, and salary details of all employees in the organization. A copy of the payment challan. You will also have to submit the copy of the challan generated with respect to the payment to the application fees. Any other documents as required by the state government. Since the registration is applied for on a state level, some states may require additional documents such as a fire safety certificate or a health certificate with the application for registration. With this, we complete our discussion on the process of shops and establishment registration. You know the steps to be followed, the details to be filled, and the documents required. But do you know when exactly you should apply for registration? Let me explain. When should an establishment obtain shops and establishment registration? Shops and establishment registration must be obtained by all type of business entities, whether incorporated or not. This would include a sole proprietorship, a registered or unregistered partnership firm, an LLP, or a company. Not just profit-making entities, but even not-for-profit NGOs like trusts, societies, and Section 8 companies have to get the registration. Be it any type of organization, the due date application for shops and establishment registration is within 30 days from the date on which it was established or incorporated. But what if shops and establishment registration is not taken within the due date? Well, then the organization will have to face various adverse consequences such as legal penalties, criminal prosecution, business closure, difficulty in obtaining licenses, and risk of exploitation of the employees. The consequences may vary from state to state. With this, we reach the end of this video. I hope I have managed to answer all your questions on shops and establishment registration here. But if you still have further queries, you can ask us in the comment section or directly talk to our startup experts. The contact information is given in the description. If you find this video helpful, like and share the video with your friends and colleagues. Also subscribe to our channel for more informative content ahead. Hit the notification bell and get notified every time we post a new video. Thank you for watching. Watch our other videos as well.